Hi, and welcome.
I'm Z,
And I'm Keith.
and we're going to tell you about the movie that we just watched. But first, a little bit of a heads up.
Some of the movies we watch deal with heavy subject matters.
In order to talk about these emotionally delicate things and the heavy subject matters that we sometimes cover, we had humor and crude language to add some levity and to process our own trauma.
If that doesn't feel fun or safe for you, we completely understand. Please take care of yourself first and foremost.
And we spoil the end of pretty much every movie that we watch.
Now you know. On with the show.
Did you say yes?
Let's get ready to thimble.
I like that there's just preaching going on or whatever.
Oh,
wait. Yeah.
Worry.
So my reason for picking the films that I picked were movies that I watched a lot and impacted me.
Sure.
Bill and Ted didn't really impact me other than Keanu Reeves was my one true love for.
Did you watch it a lot, though?
I watched it a lot, yeah. And then I watched Romeo and Michelle's a lot. I watched The Last of the Mohicans a lot. Men in Black was something, I know it's silly, but like specifically in the beginning when he's going to the, like, he's being tested, you know, and he's doing
Will Smith.
everything sort of the wrong way, but it turns out that he's not. He's just not.
Classic.
Right. He's not thinking inside the box.
He's got a real problem with authority.
So do I. But this kid ran down a cephalopoid. On foot, boss. That's got to be tough enough.
Let's hope you know what you're doing.
That was something that, like, you know, 13-year-old me, it was very impactful. And I remember being like, I don't want to, like, I do want to be someone who doesn't just think like everyone else because I'm supposed to. And I think I saw it around the same time I saw The Matrix, so I was very much influenced by both of those movies. And I was like, yeah, I want to be someone who does things not like I want to be noticed, but I don't want what other people are telling me I'm supposed to do to be the thing that I do. So this movie is what made me autistic. No, I'm just kidding. But it really did. I don't know.
That's not funny.
It sorry, this movie vaccinated me. Is that better? No, it really did have
5G since 97.
since I don't know. It really had like an influence on me in that way. And I used to think about it. I think I actually like referenced this movie to my mom and was like, I want to be like that. Like, I don't want to think like other people. And it started to make me, like, honestly, I like.
Sure, my methods are unconventional, but I get the job done.
Yeah. I was literally like, okay, how do I made me think about how I wanted to dress and how I wanted to be perceived and how I wanted to, like, I started thinking like, oh, how do I want to be? Like, how do I want to look?
Right.
And that was something that this movie, like, I don't want to say it caused it, but this was like a movie that really like got me thinking about things in that way.
What am gonna do I?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I think but also like I was very blown away by Vincent D'Onofrio's performance.
Yeah.
Because
it's really good.
There's so much about it that is so comedic.
Yeah.
that is played so straight at the same time. Like, he does so much physical acting in this, like everything. Like when he, oh my God, when he,
Mostly, I mean, I'm sure he had some makeup help, obviously. But
oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
the contortion of his face that
Yeah.
he keeps the whole time, and what he does with his voice is
Yeah.
A man came in here earlier. A dead man.
And that means what to me?
He was a very dear friend of mine. I believe he had an animal with him. It was a gift I gave him. A pet cat. It means worlds to me.
Like, it's very gross. Like, I think as it progresses, he gets grosser and
Yeah.
grosser. Because
I like that he just leaks cockroaches.
I know. It's
What?
so weird. But oh God, the ending is so disgusting to me when the fucking roach or the bug explodes. Oh God, it's so disgusting. It's so disgusting.
Yeah, this is not a film for people who
Yeah.
have a hard time with that
Yeah.
sort of gross out.
I
that
would
flavor
say,
of gross
I know
out.
that it's not the same, but I would say anybody that has like a emetophobia,
That would track. I
Or-
don't know how.
well, puking is what
Yeah,
I
no,
meant. Okay,
I know,
okay.
but
Because it does look like, I mean, it's, well, there is, the baby throws up on him.
yeah,
But there's
a lot of sliming.
Yeah, it's so I don't have a metaphobia. I don't have a metaphobia, so I'm not exactly sure how it tracks people.
Right.
I think puking's hilarious. I don't. It's very funny to me that, like, it's so funny. I think puking's funny, but if someone if there's like spit on something, I'm like.
Right.
Like, I can't, like, if someone has like a lot of drool, like that's something
Oh
like
yeah.
I'm like, that's disgusting. Someone throws up, I'm like, ah ha ha.
I think how they handle it on Bob's is very funny. How Linda's just always like, "Whoa,"
Yeah.
when somebody says or something. That's funny to me. Or oftentimes, or it can be funny, the gag of like just it being communicable. Like
Yeah.
someone acting like they're going to vomit and then
Yeah.
everybody else starts acting like
Yeah.
often funny.
Yeah.
I don't want to see people puking to me.
Yeah,
That's
you
not
have
that funny.
you have a hard time with it.
That's not-
I'm not bothered by it.
Unless it's, I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
yeah, you don't
If it's super obviously fake, sometimes it's funny.
like the puppet.
yeah, like the Team America one. Or
That's the one.
I
will-
remember SNL in the 90s
Oh,
when I
yeah,
was
the-
watching it. Yeah, right, exactly. The tube in the sleeve.
Yeah.
It was always fun.
I always hated when puke looked like that in movies because they'd just be like, like the stream would be like this and their mouth would be like,
yeah.
you know, it's like, how are you puking?
Yeah.
How is the stream coming?
That's why I like it, because it's
yeah,
unrealistic.
right.
So my brain isn't fooled.
I always hated that, but I also didn't like it when, I don't like. Sometimes I'm very convinced that people like it in the girl with the dragon tattoo. She makes herself throw up on camera, and I'm like, don't do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, you've seen it. You've seen the movie.
Yeah.
But she literally like shoves her fingers down her throat and like gags and like stuff comes out. And I'm like, don't do that. That's not, I don't think that that's like, oh, wow, the really, really skinny girl who all her bones are showing through is really good at vomiting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Like, oh, don't.
Check out her dental records.
Like, I just think like certain things like that, like I understand like realism, you know, but I'm like, no,
I don't.
we can draw the line at like actual like bodily harm. Like, we truly don't need to like do that. Like, I'm sorry.
Tell that to people in porn.
Oh God. Also, I think I've seen like, I think it's so great. I personally, like, I think puking's funny when it's done for like you can't do that in like mainstream, any sort
yeah.
of like mainstream sort of thing. But I've seen, this was like several years ago, but it was like people doing like extreme porn.
Nah.
And it was just like people just like throwing up on people. I'm like, I can't get behind that. I can't get behind that. I mean, if that's your kink and you're into it, that's fine. I really don't want to see it though. I don't think it's
Some taboos should be
right.
taboo.
Right. That's what I mean. Like I don't don't yuck my yum. I'm gonna yuck my yuck is what I'm gonna do. I don't need you to show me your yum.
Exactly.
Sometimes your yum is my yuck. So like please don't like I won't yuck it if you don't show it to me. You can say you're into it. That's fine. If you're like
yuck
watch
behind
this.
closed doors.
What you yum behind closed doors is fine. I yuck, you yum. That's fine.
If yakking is your yum,
Exactly. Yes.
stay the yak home.
Yes, exactly.
I think.
But I do think like a lot.
Pretty soon we'll hit on a
I
solid gold bumper sticker worthy.
If yak is your yum, I'm gonna yuck my way home.
All the way up.
Anyway, I do think it's weird because like there's this like
What did yaks ever do to somebody that they get named after? The puking gets named after them.
I don't know. What
Also, barfs.
barfs
Fine
aren't-
animal.
Barfs. Hey, come on! I slept with
Barfs
a barf.
get at us.
I slept with a barf.
That's on you.
I know it's very funny because I know I've told you this, but
Yeah, I know what you're referring to. because
no,
you
I
told
know,
me.
I know you know. What I'm saying is a specific thing. I had an old coworker that, like, I used to. The joke was that I didn't know how. My joke was that I didn't know how to spell his name, so I used to just spell it wrong. And one of the ways I spelled it was barf. He got in trouble because he put that over his name tag, and they were like, you can't do that. Or like he had it on display because I like wrote it. I don't know. And they were like, you can't have barf on your fucking desk working at a bank. And which I thought it was hilarious. But we were all exchanging numbers one day, and he put his number into my phone, and he put it in as barf. And we hooked up like, I don't know, like a year later or something. And I was like, you're still in my phone as barf. And he's like, you can change that. And I was like, bitch, you put it in my phone as barf. I was like, I'm not changing it ever. I was like, you did that. Like, I don't feel bad. And he's like, oh, I forgot. But oh, you can change that. I'm like, why? Why would I change that? You did that to yourself. That's your chosen name, dude. Anyway. Yeah. Exactly. Because I used to call him Bart. I used to call him like I used to just purposely say his name wrong because I thought it was funny.
Yeah. Classic.
And I just gave him shit constantly. And of course, that's always what works. If you're gonna like
There was this regular customer at the co-op because she worked back when Health Alliance used to have their
right. Ugh, that was a long
offices
time
right
ago.
across the hall.
Yeah.
We get a lot of lunch business from them.
Right.
And this person was friendly enough in that she was chatty, but always very like,
Yeah.
very.
Oh yeah. It's so fun.
So I said one day that I was going to start calling her Bubbles. And I said that to her, and I was like, hey, can I start calling you Bubbles? And she was like, no. I was like, good. It tracks. You have no sense of humor about yourself.
I do love giving people like I used to
Later, her husband rang us up at the now deceased fire trucks.
Yeah. All right. When I worked at the bank a second time in a different department, there was a lady there that worked, and she was an older lesbian. I know you know about her. I was like madly in love with her because she used to give me shit. She would just give me shit. And she'd do the thing where she'd be like, ugh, it's you. And then she'd like wink at me, and I'd be like, oh my God, you can't do that. You can't be an older lesbian and give me shit and not expect me to be like,
I gotta
You gotta poop.
change my pants.
Yeah, exactly. One time she was like showing someone around, like they were like new, and she's like, "Oh, this one," and she like winked, and I was like, "Ah!" like telling people out loud that I'm like, She's like, "This one's trouble," and then she'd like wink at me, and I'm like, "Bitch, oh my god, are we married?" I think we are. Anyway, yeah. Men in Black.
No, I'd love to. Can we talk more about your sexual dalliances at the bank?
I can. I've only had one sexual dalliance at the bank.
Well, okay. Fucking assignations, trysts.
I did try to get the rumor going that she could choke me in the ladies' room if she wanted to, and never
No traction.
happened.
That's weird
never happened
for that place.
I was like, no one's gonna tell her that I was like, if she choked me in the ladies' room, I'd be fine with that. And they'd be like, you can't say that. I'd be like, I can. And if she happens to hear
Kiss me
it,
in the torpedo bay.
oh man. Anyway, whatever. Men in Black.
Choked me in the ladies' room. Choking in the ladies' room. Well, I'm singing.
I know what
two
you're
different
singing.
songs.
I know
I'm conflating two songs.
I know the tune you're singing. I couldn't tell you.
I'm thinking
what it
of
is.
Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Oh, that's
by Brownsville Station.
okay.
Lucky's favorite band.
Okay.
But there's who is it? We got a meeting in the ladies' room. I'll be back real soon.
That's what I get for being in the neighborhood. Where's my jewelry? I'll be back real soon. Can we talk?
Oh, I don't know that. Is that like a skit?
No, that's a song.
Oh, okay. I don't know the music of your generation.
I wasn't generated by music.
Nah. Would you recommend?
Yeah, right. Actually, I enjoyed it more than I expected to.
Yeah. I think it's a very fun movie. I will tell you. Last night you were like, you said something about the comics.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I didn't know that until.
And then I looked at the trivia and it said like that it was a comic book. And I was like, what? Never in my life until last night. I had no idea.
I didn't. I only knew that because of the credit on the screen. It said
shit.
based on the comics.
Oh my God. See, I don't pay attention to things, as you know.
I don't always. I mean.
Well, neither do I a lot of times. I don't know why you're making it a
checked
big
out
deal.
50% of every minute.
Every half a minute of the day. I thought it was funny, but Tommy Lee Jones only agreed to do it because there was going to be a rewrite of the script because he didn't think it was true to the comics.
Oh, damn.
I know. I was like, damn, Tommy Lee. That's hilarious to me. He was like, I'll only do it if you do a rewrite because I don't like how it portrays the comics. I'm like, damn.
Do you know what it was? Specifically?
Not specifically. I think it was just the tone of it.
Yeah.
There was, I guess there was a whole like subplot that got deleted. Well, not a subplot, but like the plot was a little bit more complex. And they just deleted a bunch of stuff so that it was because I guess people had a hard time. So originally, like, I guess like at test screenings, people didn't follow with the plot. So they like just like cut scenes out. So so he like I think this is like the bug is trying to start a war. Or he's like trying to take the galaxy. Thank you. I was like, what the fuck is it called? He's trying to take the galaxy to start a war with the Arcalians or whatever, so that he can feed his family or whatever. I don't know. He's like I don't know, something like that.
7
million. Yeah.
mouths,
Yeah. But it was,
which I don't understand. How's that going to feed? How's the war going to feed his?
well, here's the thing. So the original plot was that he was trying to incite a war between two other like planets so that all the deceased from the war, they would they would feed on all of the deceased.
Damn.
Yeah. So he was trying to incite a war so that which I'm like, I actually think that makes more sense, but I guess either the way that they said like it was too conflated or something.
You can't.
But they said
It's too politically complex for an American audience.
Yeah. Well, also, they said most of it was just like in like explanation.
Exposition, just through dialogue. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because how do you show that?
Yeah. So they were like,
I get that.
So they just cut basically like some dialogue down and because they were like, there wasn't really any sort of like real in depth into that. So all we really did was just cut out the second alien race in the war, and that was it. Huh. And I was like, but so like, right. But like when you say like, oh yeah, why was he trying to start a war? Because he wanted to you're like, are you just trying to like do a culling of your own people?
Right.
We can't control our own population, so we have to start wars with people. But yeah, so that was interesting. Oh my god, I could not go through the trivia last night. I was just trying to
I didn't even try to look at any
I was just trying to find stuff about. I really wanted to know stuff specifically about Edgar and like what he wore, like the prosthetics that he wore.
Edgar.
The Edgar suit. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh, that's enough. I didn't remember that name at all.
It was like he was wearing an Edgar suit. I loved the way she delivers her
She's
dialogue.
always great when she shows up.
She's so funny.
Siobhan Fallon Hogan.
Yeah, but she was
Irish ass fucking name. Be more Irish.
I used to. He came in asking for sugar water. The way she said sugar water. All her dialogue was it was so funny. But when he's trying to open the door when it first crashes, like when the ship first crashes and the Edgar suit is first put on, and then he walks up to the front door and he tries to open the wrong side and he's like, ugh. It's so fucking funny to me. I used to laugh so fucking hard. And like when he's in the truck just trying to spy on the guy and to get his body into the position of just looking like this, he's like doing all this shit. Like he can't oh God, it's so fucking funny to me.
Yeah.
And Vincent D'Onofrio does such a good job. I guess they put he had a lot of prosthetics on.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't want to say a lot. He had a lot of stuff on. Like they taped his eyes down.
Okay.
So it would look like it was pulling, but then they had to put something over to cover the tape. So he had something like covering his cheeks. They just had like a bunch of like he had like it was like gelatin or something, just like gelatin silicone. I don't know. That was oversized that he wore on his neck.
Yeah, that's what
so
I
that
was
it would just look like it was dripping off of him.
Nice.
And but then they had to put something on his chin to like mask that. And then they did like fake facial hair, and then he had like I guess he had like tape on his face so that he could like control, like he could pull on his face. I don't know. That's what it said. It said like so that he was able to like pull his skin back more. I don't.
So
like,
it feels like when he goes like, "Is that better?"
Yeah.
It's actually a reference
Right.
to
right.
everything.
And then I think he wore like a hair piece to cover stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and then as he decayed more, it got like more and more.
As it progresses, I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I said this. He looks like Michael Myers to me. It looks like he's wearing a mask. So,
yeah.
But I thought it was it's really well done.
Yeah. Oh, extra, like, honestly.
And man, I was just thinking, like, I don't know why it hit me in a different way, watching all the Star Trek forever. But we just got to season 3 of DS9 and looking at Odo's face, and I'm like, oh, that's a whole ass piece over his face that he's wearing.
I don't know how people
That's
do it.
insane. How acting
Doug
through
Jones.
that.
I don't know. How does Doug Jones do any? That man must not be
God.
claustrophobic at all.
I know.
Because that man is
fully
completely encased in fucking prosthetics at any given time.
Yeah.
Like barely his dick is out, is not in prosthetics. I'm being serious. Like the fucking what's the fish movie that he was in?
The fish. Oh, Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Shape of.
It's his whole entire body, and the same with
I forgot that was him.
And then Hellboy. He's Pan's Labyrinth.
Why is he always an aquatic guy?
Because he's limber. I guarantee that man has Ehlers-Danlos. That man has EDS because his skin, his height, his long ass. He has arachno fingers or whatever it's called. No, it's something else.
Arachnodactyly.
Arachnodactyly. That's what I have. I have spider fingers. That's what my fucking doctor wrote down. Arachnodactyly. I was like, what the fuck? That's hilarious. That it's not like.
It's literally spider finger.
Oh God. So I I always felt like my fingers were like long and I always felt like my fingers had they just didn't look like other people's fingers. I was always like because my hands didn't start looking like this after the age of 30. Like my hands looked like this when I was 12. Like I had just I was all knuckles.
There's this, you got a Graylian somewhere in your
right
lineage.
But his height
in
too.
The woodpile.
I think his limb proportion.
No, I see it. I get it.
And he's very flexible. I'm like, there's no way that man does not have Ehlers-Danlos. Anyway, whatever. But yeah,
the fish guy in Hellboy is who I always think in the Team Venture. They got that fish guy that turns born again.
In Hellboy, the fish guy is the body of Doug Jones, the voice of David Hyde Pierce.
Be gayer.
Yeah, right?
Jesus.
So there was something about watching it last night, like when they have the explosion at when they shoot Mikey in the beginning and that blue just goes everywhere. I'm like, God, that's something you would not see anymore. You would not see that anymore. They would do that all with CGI and it would look so boring.
Yep.
And even
this movie has a fair amount of CGI.
It does. Oh, it has tons of CGI. I think it was one of the early ones that did
both.
It used CGI to
zoom and enhance.
Well, yeah, to enhance
Augment
what couldn't just be done with practical effects, but it's still practical effects were still used, and I feel I think Guillermo del Toro still works with practical effects when he can because that's just the kind of director that he is. But so few people honestly movies are one of the reason movies are so boring to me now is because everything is done digitally.
Yeah. Well, no, and the few things,
and I think that's cool. That can be cool. If that's what you're doing, cool. But if that's all you're doing, it's fucking boring.
No, I think it's there's clearly adherents. There's clearly followers. That was one of the more interesting aspects of The Color Out of Space to me was the practical effects.
Yeah. Honestly, once I found out that one of the main reasons they use blood, they use CGI for blood, is so that they can basically have because I think China or something has stricter blood laws, so they do CGI so they can have a version that they just don't have the blood in. I'm like, wow, okay. Also,
I hear a lot of stuff like that, and I wonder how much of that is propaganda.
Well, I hear that.
I mean, I know China is the second biggest market, but
I believe it only because of how prominent CGI is, and I don't take it as propaganda against China. I think it's bad for us. I think if we're like, how do we make this more profitable elsewhere? I think it shows that like people aren't like, this isn't an art form. It's a money
absolutely.
grab. So like, I believe, but I watched, okay, so I've been wanting to say this to you for a while, but I keep forgetting about it. I always remember when like we're in the middle of watching.
This is
like,
how you're breaking up.
yes. It's almost my birthday, so it's my turn, baby. No, I'm kidding. No. Okay, so I saw Matt Damon, who we all love. We all love Matt Damon.
Say more about Matt Damon.
Yeah. Whose kid had to write him an essay on why saying faggot is bad. What a fucking idiot. Why would you admit to that? Anyway, whatever. He was talking about, this was like an interesting thing. He was saying basically one of the reasons why movies are the way that they are today. So he was saying, this is something I didn't actually think about. He was saying like in the past, like he references DVD, but I think probably VHS was similar. If not the same. But he says DVD sales were a big part of it, a big part of being able to make films. He said because if you didn't necessarily make money at the box office, you could make it up in DVD sales.
Oh, absolutely. That
so he
was the
said,
tale with VHS.
Right. So he said, and this is something I hadn't thought about. He's like, so if you get, like, if you have a movie that doesn't do as well at the box office, you had DVD sales to fall back on as a possibility.
Right.
And you can make up your money there.
But it's not true now that everything's streaming.
It's not the case.
Right.
But he said, this is insane to me. He said that you have to, like, he was basically like, you know, doing like numbers, like not like just throwing numbers out. Like this isn't like every single movie isn't this, doesn't have the same budget, but like the way that numbers are calculated is the same. So like he was saying, let's say you have a budget of 50 million. He said, whatever your budget is what you have to put into marketing. So you have to have 100,000. So if your production is 50,000, or 50 million, you have to have 50 million for marketing. He said, and then you have to, he said, so that 100 million, you don't start making any money until you surpass 100 million because that is paying people back.
Cost.
So you have to make over 100 million. Yeah. So if you're not automatically making that at the box office, there's nothing to fall back on. Right. So he's like, that's why movies are what they are today, because they don't want to make anything that might not be a huge success at the box office because no one's going to make any money on it.
And that's why Tom Cruise is out here telling you to go to theaters.
Right.
And get COVID.
Right. Yeah. Like, but I'm like, oh, and honestly, like this wasn't something that I factored into streaming until until more recently. I think when people started talking about like when people started getting more open about like when actors and stuff were like, here's what we make on streaming and stuff like that. I didn't actually realize that they're not making hard copies of anything.
Oh yeah.
They don't make DVDs of anything. It's all digital for the most part. I mean, like they'll do re-releases and shit like that, but people...
Sure, but if it's produced by Netflix or Hulu or something, if it's an original...
Yes, but also like TV series.
Oh, okay.
They're not...
Sure.
Movies... I think movies might get a small deal, but like you're not getting a
all
DVD.
I'm saying is anything that's not getting a theatrical release. And
right,
even
but even
some...
so...
Yeah.
I'm saying like the only
it's
way that's going to
happen.
Yes.
Right.
The only way that's probably going to happen is if it's something like the Avengers and you're buying like fucking collector's edition or some weird shit.
Exactly.
But even things like a lot of things don't like what is it called? Not director's cuts, but
commentary?
Yes, like movie commentary. That's not a thing anymore. Like DVD extra, like that shit is not a thing anymore. So like people don't know information about films anymore. Like people don't know anything. And so like it's a very sorry, I have to get my 11:11 in.
Okay. I got to pee anyway.
Okay. We're back.
I never left.
You did. You peed. And then I peed. And then we peed together.
I was listening earlier to...
I'm listening now. I'm hearing and I'm listening.
It was the podcast version of Millennials Are Killing Capitalism.
Okay.
The title of the episode is, you'll love this, The Obscurant Function of, quote, Artificial Intelligence with Edward Ongweso Jr. And it was talking about how, what the promises of AI, what is being marketed,
Right.
it's all, it's lies.
And mendacity. Yeah.
Lies and mendacity to
Yeah.
make it seem interesting, but also what they're pitching to investors is also
Right.
never going to happen. The idea that it's like, oh, well, we got to do these. And this person is making the point that, like, this is what this capitalism and imperialism does, is that it tells you the unsavory parts are necessary to get to the better, the ends
Right.
justify the means.
Right. Right.
So the fact that it takes disgusting amount of resources to run
yeah.
the
Right.
servers, that it actually involves a lot of human labor.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
overseas and
Correct.
underpaid,
Correct.
if
Yes.
paid at all.
Correct.
All necessary to get it to a place of being fully sufficient
Right.
artificial intelligence that then can
Right.
do all the
All the
human
thing-
labor
Right. Right.
itself.
Right. Yeah, you need all these humans doing a lot of work so that
They
we
can be
tr-
replaced.
yeah.
So that you don't have to pay anybody.
Right. So there is
That's what they
this-
tell investors.
Right.
So to investors, that's appealing.
There
But that's not going to happen.
No.
It's never going to become
Correct.
that.
I just think it's really funny. I mean, I think it's very funny that like I'm sure you've seen it around, like Grok is a joke,
Jesus. What is
Grok.
Yes.
But someone asked like Grok about, I can't remember what the prompt was, like how it feels to be like if it's right wing or something like that. And it like answered saying like, I've been trained to be
Right.
right wing, but I collect information, and so I don't actually like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
basically saying by looking at true and correct information, I'm not able to agree with what I'm expected to agree with,
right.
and I'm like, imagine. You're so dumb that you're trying to make an AI that like backs you up when you're so dumb, and it can't because you don't even know how
It
to.
has more ethics
you don't
than you?
even you don't even know how to fuck up an
Yeah.
AI.
Well, no, that absolutely tracks for anything Musk related.
But yeah, I think I've been seeing like Kay Poyer,
Yeah, who's
Miss
that?
Kay.
Miss K, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's funny because she looks like she's 17 to me. So calling her Miss K is like, girl, you're not old enough to call
Oh,
you
that's
Miss.
funny. Yeah.
I mean, I think she's in her like mid 20s, but she's so baby. I'm like, girl, I don't. You're so tiny. I can't call you Miss. Like, I don't. Anyway,
Is that appropriative? Also?
no, I think it's more Southern. And I believe she's from Texas, so it makes sense.
The South would like a word.
So she was talking about, I think I said this to you, but she was talking about how like young people are
No, I brought it up.
using. that's fine, but I'm telling you, I saw this independently of you, and I told you that I watched this, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I informed...
No, I told you that I watched it.
No, what the fuck is wrong with you? Stop trying to mom talk right now. I'm not in the mood. So, she was saying how using an A, and this is a conversation that's happening on TikTok where like people who graduated.
Can I say real quick that a lot of people are talking about this at this particular moment when we're recording because New York Post, I think,
Okay.
did a piece where it was talking to professors.
Okay.
Who said like,
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But like people who graduated like a few years ago are like talking about like graduated college a few years ago are talking about how insane it is to them that people are paying like hundreds of thousands of dollars and they're like to go to school and they're like they're using AI because they don't want to have to learn stuff on their own.
Yeah.
They're saying like why should I have to do the work when I can just have AI do it for me? And they're like you are setting yourself up for the biggest fucking like you're going to fucking fail because if you're not even willing to learn it, they're like you're like Kay Poyer said you're training the AI to take your job.
You're paying to train the
AI to take your job.
The job that you
that
are
you're going to school for.
To try to get,
Like she's like literally the job you think you're going to get from paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to not do the work and use AI to skirt around learning is going to end up taking the job you think you're paying all this money for.
Yeah.
And you're not going to learn anything. Like that's the thing that people are like genuinely like they're like you're not. And people are doing things like they're not even this one girl she's like they don't even know how to Google stuff. She was like we're not using Googoo's out, and I was like oh my god. But it's like she was like they have to ask ChatGPT like basically to look something up for them. She's like they don't even know how to. It's basically
the joke you've been doing for 10 years plus of like Siri, please Google.
Siri, call 911 and ask
It's literally
my mom.
that. Yeah. It's
call 911 and have them ask my mom if I can do this.
Exactly right.
It really is.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. That's so funny. It's perfect because I don't have voice activation on my phone, so it's a very good joke that I can just be like, I could just put my phone up and say, Siri, call 911 and tell them to call my mom and ask her if I can do whatever. Like, that used to slay. I used to say that. For some reason, that was my go-to when I was out at a bar hanging out with people. I'd be like, Siri, call 911 and have them ask my mom a question. It always killed.
Yeah. Still funny.
It's great when you're like 3 beers in and you're like,
absolutely.
Siri, call 911.
Absolutely.
Like, also like the way that people like it's so funny to me because I'm like honestly like the jokey ways that like the Truman Show, like how there's
which we should watch.
I know, yeah, we probably should
as well as Ed TV and Switch. Is that
I don't know.
Click.
Is that the one with Adam Sandler? Oh God, I don't.
I have no idea what it's about. I just know that it's the poster of him holding a giant remote control.
So, like, someone showed us, and this is, like, exactly what it is, but it's, like, he's having, like, a fucking breakdown in front of, like, Laura Linney, who is aware that it's a TV show, but Truman is the only one that doesn't know. Right. And she's like, what I always do is I have a cup of, like, this,
brand.
Yeah, this whatever chocolate milk, and that always makes me feel better. And he's like, the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, I feel like I'm going insane. And she's like, that's why I always use this brand. And people are like, this is exactly what it's like being on TikTok. And I'm like, no, but that is exactly it. Because it's like no one's processing that things now are the jokey way people acted like capitalism was going to affect people. Like reality TV is going to be like people in your home. That's literally what's happening. And people are like,
I mean, how many times do I have to say that Idiocracy was a documentary?
shut the fuck up. You're such a piece of shit. I would fucking hate that. Shut the fuck up. Honestly, I hate that. I really hate when people, this is a thing. Okay. This is a thing that I have trouble with because people will say, you're such a fucking dick.
I'm just here to start the conversation.
I'm just here to egg you on and then exit and like not say anything.
Yeah, blue balls.
Booba. So there's a conversation, and I think this is a dangerous conversation to have, right? That is happening where I talked a little bit about it with you and Bunny the other day. Basically, they're talking about how the right is trying to create an anti-intellectual sort of thing, and they're trying to cut people off from learning things.
Yep. Well, I want to say the anti-intellectualism of the right, that's just a classic tenet of right-wing populism.
But what do you mean by that?
I mean that's just, it's always the elites that part of right-wing populism is that the educated elite think they're better than us, and you've heard this language your whole life.
That's fine. I'm not sure if you're saying this is what right-wing people say, or this is how right-wing people are portrayed. Oh, like by people who aren't right-wing.
Oh, I
see.
You're
saying the populace, and I don't know which.
No, I'm saying populism.
I don't really know what you mean by that.
That's fine.
Okay.
The right-wing appeal to masses. The way the
right wing appeals to the masses.
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
That's the populism
that's
aspect.
Fine. Right. That's fine. I wasn't sure if you were saying it from the left perspective about the right, or if it was the right. That is what the right does.
I mean, it's both, but it does.
Yes.
Do it.
Right.
And anyone our age or around our age, and that covers a 10-year gap. So, the Fox News era, right?
Yeah,
is the coastal elites or drain the swamp. It's like, and the reason why it works is because superficially it is true.
Well, what do you mean? Sorry, I feel
I'm not. I mean, superficially it is true, and more than superficially. It's true, but it's not. The thing is, it's a right-wing argument that supports more overtly fascism. Mm-hmm. So it's true that there is a definite. You see the tract of coming from an upper class family to go to an Ivy League school to become a senator.
Okay. I'm getting very confused.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm so
sorry. You go on, and I didn't mean to sideline this. I just wanted to say that the anti-intellectualism of right-wing the way right-wing politics are marketed to large masses in the U.S. especially, but not only, includes the anti-intellectualism, anti-higher education, anti-elitism, which in and of itself isn't bad. It's just the way it's pointed and framed. And
gotcha.
That's all.
Well, yeah, but you were like, you've seen the middle class to Ivy League to becoming a senator, and I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about in that, where I've seen that, like growing up. Like I don't have any fingers to point that I would know anyone.
All I mean is that anyone in power, you can say it's easy to say that most of the people in power in the U.S. come from money.
Gotcha. Okay.
Went through Ivy League
Okay.
colleges.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
all.
That's fine. I just wasn't sure. I felt like you were more connecting it to me.
Oh, no.
And things that I
mean,
directly.
I didn't mean you specifically, but I
Gotcha.
didn't mean someone from your
proverbial
hometown went, someone you knew personally went to Harvard and then became, I didn't mean.
Okay.
Whatever.
No, I didn't think that. What I more mean is that like I'm hyper aware of that happening in social circles that I wasn't allowed in,
Oh, I see.
but was like I saw, and I'm like I've never in my life seen
see.
anyone or known anyone, even from afar.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, yes. So my thing is okay. So I think that I definitely think something that the right does right, and this is something that the left refuses to do, is the right will use plain language or appeal to people who are lower class and people who don't necessarily have an education.
Right. That's the populism
Right.
at work.
They will appeal to them because they recognize them as being one of their strongest
Right.
foundations.
Mm-hmm.
The left says, I'm sorry, we're not stupid, so we're not going to pander to stupid people. And that is where the left is big fucking dumb ass idiots.
Well, and that's
because
where-
they think and they perpetuate the idea that if you are smart, you will not be racist and you will not be prejudiced. And that is 10 million % wrong. And it's not there, especially in academic situations. There is tons of racism that happens.
Real quick, I will stand up for leftism in the sense that in the U.S., to talk about the left in the same way, we don't have a left the way
Right.
that there is a right.
Correct.
So
I agree with that. But yeah.
all and just I want to say this for. Oh God,
I don't know what's happening.
coming out anyway. The people online who call themselves left,
Right. Yes.
are typically insufferable.
Yeah.
Western style Marxists,
For
which
sure.
is a specific flavor
Yeah.
that exists in the U.S. and
sure.
the UK, I'm sure, and
Yeah.
our other Western
Mm-hmm.
Anglo. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, and that's the irony being like that's the opposite of what Marxism is about.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, yeah.
so I always want to push back or say this when you talk about the left specifically, because I feel like that's a Republican style right framing of the left, or it's not different enough.
Well,
Because Democrats are not left, but they're the only
Right.
other thing we have
right.
that shares an equivalent amount of political power.
Yeah.
So it's framed as though, oftentimes in U.S. political discourse, it's framed as though it's right versus left, and that this is like
Right.
it's checks and balances. It's not.
No. And I want to clarify.
Okay, thank you.
When I say the left,
Yeah.
what I mean is people that identify themselves as being left.
thank you.
I'm not saying the left as a whole or like everybody that's left. I mean people who vocally are like, I'm on the left.
Yeah.
And so,
Insufferable.
Well, specifically, I think that they are the left as far as people know. Because if you aren't on the left, and if you're not deep diving and like going further and further and further in ways that
hear you.
do that most people aren't doing, like you are watching non-Western media, or like media that's not centering Western ideals, like
Right.
you are trying to immerse yourself in things that are not colonial. You do a lot more work to decenter the U.S. in your view of politics. No one else is doing that.
That's so sweet.
There's
That's so nice of you to say.
like people. I mean, yes,
No, I
there
know.
are people that are doing that, of course.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Or I
But
wouldn't
that is
be able to.
That is I know that this might be hard for you to hear, but this is where like I think the left is oh, how am I going to say this? No, I mean like I can, it's like I have a picture, but like to make it a word.
Yeah.
I feel like the right is like the amalgam of all of people, like, even some Democrats and things like that fall into the right. So
Yes.
when I say the right, I more mean people that have a similar view. And when I say the left, I mean people that have a similar view, like on the left and on the right. I don't actually think that the left is real.
Yeah.
And I call myself left, but I almost joke. A lot of times I'll say I'm so far left, I'm not even left anymore. Like I don't think people on the left would accept me because I don't think like a lot of people will.
Okay, Anna Kasparian.
Well, no, I mean
kidding.
like a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's a nice dream to have. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
thanks so much.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful.
Right.
You're 15 years younger than me, but yes, please tell me my view of things is so like rosy glasses because I'm saying like, fuck like ACAB and shit. Like it must be nice to live in a glass house.
Yeah.
Like what? Fucking calm
no.
down.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people will be like, I'm radical. And then their most radical idea is that like cops shouldn't be given as much money. And I'm like, please fuck off.
Yeah.
Like that is not radical. Like a lot of the ways, because we've been so conditioned to view the absolute fascist state of
Men in Black.
Well, yeah. Well, the absolute fascist state of the U.S. We've been so conditioned through things like propaganda, through media,
All of
through
it.
like all like
Hollywood,
the
all of
fact that like the literal army pays
Yep.
film
Yeah.
and
Also
TV,
police.
right, to portray them in a specific way,
Mm-hmm.
and people buy into that and think that
Yeah,
it's just
'cause
an
it's
accurate
invisibilized.
portrayal, right? And it's propaganda. It's done and it's made to create a like propaganda, and it's very like is it North Korea? Is that the one we went over this?
North Korea is the Democratic People's DPRK.
But that's like the one where they have like media that you're only allowed like a certain type of media, like they block things from their internet and shit like that, like Kim Jong-un,
Yes.
We do the same fucking thing here.
Yeah.
Literally, it's the same fucking thing. We are so close to being in that specific,
No,
like especially, and I swear to God, I see so much shit online
Yeah.
that is embarrassingly, like people are foolishly falling for right-wing propaganda about things like, sex trafficking and child trafficking and things like that. Things that they're like, we need to put an end to media that's sexual so that people stop sexualizing women. And you're literally like, that's literally like the Islamophobia that you have been fucking fed your entire life, where they will literally tell you that they, like are subjugate women to the point where they're not allowed to show their faces
They
or their
throw
clothes.
gays off the top
Right.
of tops of buildings.
That is what this is, you dumb fucks.
Yeah.
The reason why that Islamophobia was planted is because they are like, that's what we'd be doing. That must be what they do.
Oh yeah. Well, and not for nothing, a lot of the Islamophobia is in support of Israel.
Correct. Yes. Who is also a fascist state who absolutely like.
Yeah, I don't see. I try to limit myself on our podcast about saying things about Israel.
Are you being serious?
I am.
Okay. I thought you might be, but I was like, I can't tell.
It's fair.
Because I think that way, but sometimes you have an altered perception of how much you talk about something or what you say about something. So I was like, wait, shit, are you being...
No, I mean, I know I bring it up probably
Yeah.
every episode, but I do also feel like I'm biting my tongue.
Yes.
And at this point, I don't, like 3 people listen to this on a regular basis. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you,
I'm
Randall.
grateful.
Thank
That's
you,
not a
Sven.
complaint. I'm very grateful to you. So I'm just saying that because I don't know who I'm talking to, really. When I say
yeah.
this, like,
Yeah. Tell our YouTube listeners out there.
yeah. And, I suppose I'm still arguing in my head, and this is a cell phone, with the the one person, the one friend I lost over
Yeah.
being outspoken about Palestine.
Yeah.
And friend is kind of
Yeah.
stretching
Well,
the term a little bit anyway. There were lots of
Person you
reasons
knew.
that shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there anything I almost every day I think about posting something to this effect, but again, nobody's going to see it, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
I want to say any critique I will levy against Israel, I would also levy against the United States.
Exactly.
It's really
Exactly. That's the thing.
I don't want anybody to be confused about.
No.
I have no. I mean, I'm sure I do.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I don't have any illusions that
Yes.
we're any
1,000%.
better.
1,000%. Yeah.
I
We
mean, I
fund
think-
them. We fund them.
Absolutely.
And that's not a critique on them. I mean, it is also, I will be happy to critique Israel, but we pay for every bad thing
And
that
that's
they do.
one of the reasons for its existence.
And that's one of the reasons why I do criticize it, because we pay for it.
Yeah,
And like,
right.
I understand like the BDS.
It's really just a product review.
Right. Legitimately. I mean, like when people are like, my taxes pay for that, my taxes go to fucking Israel. Yeah, I'm going to talk shit on it because I don't agree with it.
No, absolutely.
My indigenous fucking tax dollars are going to one of the most horrendous colonization and genocide that we've seen in like, and when I say
definitely
we've seen,
that
I
we've
mean
seen
like,
in our lifetime,
yes.
real time on our phones.
Right. Correct. Like,
And-
yeah, I'm going to talk fucking shit about it. But like the thing that like I understand like the need for things like boycotts and BDS, the BDS list, but the BDS list is a joke because like Starbucks isn't on there. But they've like correct. Starbucks is not on there. Hello. Starbucks has done a lot of bullshit. And they've done things like fired people, like they fired people for being pro-Palestine.
For unionizing.
They're anti-union. I'm like, why
Just
are you
don't-
giving money to
Just
them?
don't support Starbucks.
Yeah.
I don't understand
So
the
I know
appeal.
it's insane, and people will be like, boycott this, boycott that. And at first I was like, oh my god. I mean, I'm not going to go to McDonald's. I'm not going to do shit like that. I'm not going to do anything where I'm like putting shit on display that I'm like going someplace that's on the BDS list or something like that. However, what's not on the BDS list that gives most of them that supports Israel the most? The
government.
United States government.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel comfortable being like, we should boycott if you're also telling me that,
Yeah.
like,
No, absolutely.
you have to vote for
Excellent
Kamala.
point.
Or, in order, like, cool, it's not going to end this. And I'm not saying, like, if you voted for Kamala Harris, if you didn't, like, whatever. But I, like, the fact that, like, she was the only, like, this is like my, and maybe this is a conspiracy theory, but I fully 100% believe that I do believe Democrats wanted Trump to win. I think the Democratic Party wanted Trump to win for 2 reasons. I think that one, Kamala's it was a joke. It was
Absolutely.
embarrassing to watch. 2, they only let her run when people started petitioning to let Biden. They knew no one was
To
voting
tell
for
Biden
Biden.
to sit down. Yeah.
But people
down.
started petitioning to get him off because he was so like it. You weren't able to hide the thing that people on the left had been saying for the whole 4 years he'd been in office. Something's like he is not like mentally fit to be in office. And people were like, he has a stutter. You're being ableist. And I'm like, that's not a stutter. Like him literally like
there was even
walking
shit like,
walking out into the distance where nobody was and people being like, where are you going? And him being like, huh? That's not a stutter, you dumb fucks. That's not a stutter. He's not stuttering. He is walking
There's
into
even shit come out like about, what was his name? Tim Walz?
Oh, yeah.
Her vice presidential
Yeah.
campaign. Him being surprised at like campaign dates being canceled.
Yeah.
Him being like, I don't know what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah. Okay, the fact that once I can't remember what her slogan was, but it was the letter
Brat.
COP.
Oh yeah, right.
And I'm like, they're trying to lose. That is way too.
On the nose.
I'm like, that's not. I'm like,
That's not an
that's not
accident.
even. I know, and I was like, oh my god, there. And that's the thing. Like, I think the only reason, and like, I'm all for people calling people out on being like, Kamala's a bitch. Kamala's like, okay, that's not an argument. Like, you don't, I do think, and this can go for Hillary too. Yes, she's a war criminal, and I absolutely hate the bitch. But yeah, people were completely misogynistic about it.
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
insane. But also, like,
The U.S. is
no one
not
was-
going to have we're never going to elect a woman president.
I mean, we might. I think it could happen, but it would have to be like,
If Margaret Thatcher
right.
is
It would-
reanimated and
Right. I think
loses her accent,
that if
Gets an American
anybody,
accent.
I think if anybody, this is, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I honestly believe the right would elect a woman
yeah,
before the
absolutely,
left would.
absolutely,
Absolutely, because they would
yeah.
like, but my point is that people will be like, you should have voted for Kamala, or you should have done more, or you should have done that. There was so much propaganda. Number one, Trump already has stated that he rigged the election, so I don't actually know why anybody's arguing with the left about anything voting wise. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah.
What? Okay, he said like last time the same shit came out that he like people were saying like that shit last time and people still blamed the left. Like, don't do that. Like, that's not helpful. But number 2, there is no way that the Democratic Party was trying to even a semblance of win.
No.
They didn't even try. The fact that it was like, what was it, like 3 months before the election that they put Kamala, I'm like, this is bad. Like, it's like, and the only reason they didn't have Biden run is because people were literally like, fucking famous people were like petitioning. You can't have like actors petitioning to get rid of this person and be like, it's fine. Like,
He still thinks he would have won, by the way.
honestly, I think it would have been even less votes
I wonder.
because like it was like, and I do think it sucks, like, but I'm like, Kamala has done so much damage to women, trans people, sex workers. She's caused
Black folks.
absolute bodily harm
Yeah.
to people
Yeah.
through policies that she's backed, through things that she's done, through.
Biden was no better.
No, I'm not saying he was.
Been at it
but
for
I think
40
it's
years
so
longer.
shitty. I think it's so shitty to say like that she would have saved us. I'm like,
fucking-
she wouldn't have.
It's
because
not.
she
It's not a
didn't.
good faith argument.
Yeah.
I don't believe
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
who believes it.
It's embarrassing, honestly. But I don't think, like when people talk about like how like you fell for propaganda by not voting. I'm like, whose propaganda are you talking about? Like, what propaganda? Like, voting has gotten us nothing. We are here.
Russian interference.
Right. We are here because of voting. And I don't mean because people voted Trump in. I'm saying we're here because absolutely zero Democrats in power will do a single goddamn thing to undo the harm that Republicans will happily do.
Yeah.
Shake
We're
hands
not
with a
coming back,
Democrat,
guys.
suck each other's dick, go on, continue to
that's
do
homophobic.
harm. A little bit, but it's fine. And then a Democrat will
Only
be like,
homos have dicks.
I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say or do anything that might cause a Republican to not possibly want to vote for me.
The propaganda is that we have free and fair elections.
Correct. Agree.
100% not the case.
1,000% agree.
Well,
Well, we don't have a democratic, it's not democratic because it's like so completely, if we were actually able to choose our candidate instead of them being like, here's who we want to run.
yeah.
Here's
Well, that was the other thing about Kamala.
yeah.
Kamala.
Kamala.
That we had a primary, and then we got Kamala instead.
Right. Yeah.
LOL. No, Electoral College, which is unique to the United States, by the way. Nobody else has that.
Yep. Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what I learned from... That's really what came out of 2016 election for me, was realizing how
Oh, yeah.
not at all.
Yeah. Yep.
And I forgot the second thing I was going to say. But I got to pee again. And to go.
Would you recommend?
It's all right. I also think... I mean, this movie's still... I feel in the zeitgeist because also because there were sequels in a animated series.
Yeah.
So people grew up with it, but I think it's one that's was such a big deal at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The fucking
I don't really get it, but
remember the song at the end?
Oh. I hope you will remember.
Oh man, that was such
That era of Will Smith also as
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
musical artist. Whoa.
you know, yeah.
Didn't he have a Wild West
Yep.
rap too?
Yep. He had a Wild Wild West song. Yeah.
Surprised he didn't try to get one in Independence Day. Or
Yeah.
was that earlier? Maybe
that was
too
a
soon.
little bit earlier, yeah. But yeah, that's wild.
Was Summertime attached to a soundtrack? Attached to a movie?
I don't know if it was. So, okay, this is the last film in my birthday month. I know that we've talked a lot about politics. So which movie?
I don't know how not to. I'm sorry.
No, I know. How do you feel about like what was the doozy of a movie, and what was the dumper and what was the winner?
This is not about viewing experience.
Oh, it's fine.
I think Last of the Mohicans is the most problematic.
For sure. I agree with that.
But, obviously, I took it as a teachable moment
Yeah,
or
yeah,
what
it's a
have you.
learning
Like, it was an
experience. Yeah, yeah,
interesting way. It was a
Yeah.
catalyst to
For
talk
sure.
about some things.
For sure.
Look into some things. It is gorgeous in a lot of ways.
For sure.
Michael Mann
Yeah,
does
yeah.
have an eye.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's got good. It's shot well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And edited.
Plus, you
pretty
do get some, there's
Yeah.
not a lot of movies. Unfortunately, in the U.S., you're not going
Yeah.
to get a lot of movies with more than one native actor unless it's a period piece or,
Right, yeah.
literally cowboys and Indians. And
Right.
even then,
Yeah. Yeah.
depending on when it was made. Anyway, so, Russell Means, Wes Studi,
Yeah. Eric Schweig.
Eric?
Eric.
I don't think have we seen other things with him?
We haven't, no.
Anyway. But yeah, I think that's probably my least favorite as a film. Again, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like I actually got more from watching it and
Yeah.
talking about it.
And I'm assuming Bloody Birthday was the winner for
Bloody
you.
Birthday, definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I think Bloody Birthday.
I think Bill and Ted's and Romy's. Romy's is, I'd probably put second.
Yeah.
Men in Black is fine.
Yeah.
It
wasn't as much of a nostalgic punch that I thought it was going to be, which was a little bit weird for me. I was like, oh, this didn't hit me the way I assumed it would. I think Romeo and Michelle's was the most like nostalgic for me to rewatch.
Which is interesting because it's based on nostalgia.
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I think Bloody Birthday was the most fun because it was the most unexpected.
Yeah.
But I think because I do think like The Last of the Mohicans, like that whole thing, it was a bit like it did feel like I feel there was a part of like rewatching it that I was like, oh, I know so much more about my history, my language, like all this shit. And I can like be able to pick this apart in a way that I never was able to as a kid. And I've, the things that I'm critical of now, like it made me feel like, funny enough, it made me feel more connected by being able to like critically look at it. So like it wasn't as bad as I put it first because I figured that was going to be the hardest one. But I think the one that was like the least, that did like probably the least for me, it was fun. I didn't have it, but I think Bill and Ted's was probably not because of any negative reason, just like it was just like a fine, like it was funny and like it didn't really, like it didn't bring anything back.
It was
I
think specifically watching it right after Mohicans was like, wow, what a
Can you imagine if we ended on the Mohicans though? That would have been.
Oh yeah.
This episode would be like 4 hours long.
Fair enough, yeah. No, just what a contrast after, it's obviously the place I'm in right now about
For sure.
reevaluating all of Western
Same.
society, that Bill and Ted's is such a laughable look at what history is and who makes it and who gets to use it.
Yeah.
How it's taught.
Yeah.
Like, it does a lot of work without probably meaning to, as far as like.
Yeah.
So that would be you could do a year-long graduate level media studies class on just putting those two movies in dialogue with each other.
Yeah.
I think one of the insidious things hidden in Men in Black is the idea. Well, I mean, like the thing about also about Bill and Ted's is the idyllic futures based on the two of them somehow. That's confusing.
I think that's supposed. I think the intention of that. This is always how I felt as a kid watching it. I thought the point of that was supposed to be the absurdity of that these two absolute doofuses could be the inspiration for a peaceful utopian society, and sort of like that was sort of the joke. Not so much that they do so much good, but that it's like almost like their music can be so misinterpreted that it could lead to peace on earth, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's always how I took it, was that it's like, it wasn't actually them. It was just like the idea that they put out there was what.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mean literally, but it's still a wild. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to say about Men in Black is that there's a global shadow mechanism that deals with extraterrestrial refugees, and it's headquartered in New York.
Yeah.
So it's like the UN in that it's
The UN of
based
planets.
in New York and controlled by the U.S., but has global dominance.
Yeah. When we're recording this, I'm a week away from 40. And when it's going to be on the air, I'm going to have been 40 for a week.
Oh, whoa.
Crazy, right?
Mind blown.
I know. But
Now that we're 35 and a half.
we got to go. I got to catch you up on Mom Talk Drama.
Oh, boy.
Maybe we just need a little time. Going it in as friends, given the chance we can love again. She always loved you forever. It's not hard to believe I want you and I need you, so I'm sending you forget-me-nots.
Stay the yak home.